Okay, right guys, this is a difficult video. This is going to be a bit of a challenge, so really do try and pay attention here. Right, we're doing exact trigonometry, okay? You've all seen cos, sine, tan, and dealt with it with a calculator. This is basically dealing with it without a calculator. Now, you can just simply learn the table. The likelihood of making a mistake is quite high, but you can just learn the table. I want to introduce a method that's going to help you in GCSE, but also in A-level, okay? It will take 10 minutes to explain. Please do watch it, then use my next video to see how we then use it, okay? Right, we're going to start off by doing this. I'm going to draw a triangle. By the way, I cut my thumb. Don't panic. Right. We're going to start off by doing an equilateral triangle, okay? We'll label that 2, 2, and 2, equilateral triangle. Now, as you know, equilateral triangles, all these are going to be 60, 60, and 60, okay? Because equilateral. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to split that here. I'm then going to redraw just that one there. So you got that, that, and then that. So that's going to be 2, because same as that. Split it in half makes this 1. Using Pythagoras, we can then work out what this one's going to be, because that's the right angle there, obviously. So it'll be 2 squared, take away 1 squared, which is going to be square root of 3. Alright, and then we know that this is going to be 60 from before, and using our knowledge, if that's broken in half, that's going to be 30. Okay, so the reason why we do that is because that's going to majorly help us work out what sin 30 is, cos 30, and tan 30. It's also going to help us work out what sin 60, cos 60, and tan 60 is. Okay, so let's look at sin 30 to begin with. Now, as you know, sin is SOHCAHTOA, so it's going to be opposite and hypotenuse. Now, that, because we're using 30 here, our opposite is going to be that. Our hypotenuse is going to be this, and our adjacent is going to be that. So, opposite will be 1. So it'll be sin 30 equals 1 divided by the hypotenuse, which is going to be 2. Therefore, sin 30 is the same as a half. That's our value right there. Okay? Cos 30. So that is SOHCAHTOA. So it'd be adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So cos 30 equals adjacent is going to be, so cos 30 is going to be root 3. Okay, root 3 over the hypotenuse, which is going to be 2. So therefore that is our answer for the exact value of cos 30. Without using a calculator or anything. Now just remember, before I do these, remember you had to compose that triangle yourself. So the logic of the way I did it, that's what you do in the exam to make sure that you're getting these values correct when you end up using them in our second video. Okay? And that's how we got these. Right, tan 30. That's TOA, opposite divided by adjacent. So tan 30 equals opposite, as we know, is 1. Divided by adjacent, which is root 3. So it can either be written like that, or, as those of you that are confident with your surds know, you can't really have a surd on the bottom, so therefore we have to rationalise it by timesing by root 3, timesing by root 3, to become root 3 over 3. So it could be written as either of them. Okay, but using the triangle, you'd get that. Okay, sin 60 now. Now this is different. Obviously you got SO again, so it would be opposite divided by hypotenuse, sin 60, but the opposite here will be different because we're using 60 rather than 30. So the opposite in this case is going to be root 3. So it's going to be root 3 over the hypotenuse, which is going to stay the same, which is 2. So root 3 over 2. Right, cos, so ca, adjacent over hypotenuse, cos 60 equals adjacent. As we know, this is going to be different this time. That is the opposite, that's the hypotenuse, so that is the adjacent. So it's going to be 1 over hypotenuse is going to be 2. So cos 60 is the same as a half. All right, sin 30 same as a half, cos 60 same as a half. And then lastly, tan 60, TOA. So tan 60 equals, and then you've got opposite divided by adjacent. So root 3, over adjacent, which is 1, and that's just the same as saying root 3, because anything divided by 1 is just what it is. Okay, so that there is how you find sin 30, cos 30, tan 30, sin 60, cos 60, tan 60, all using the triangle. Now, we have another triangle as well, because we also want to know what sin 45 is, what cos 45 is, and what tan 45 is. Okay, so to do that, we've got to compile a 45-degree triangle. So, I want us to imagine here that we've got an isosceles triangle, right angle triangle. So we'll label that 1, label that 1. So these two sides are the same. And therefore, logically, because that's 90, that's got to be 45, and so is that. Okay, because isosceles triangle. And needs to add up to 180. So I've just labelled one of them just for the practicality of what we're doing here. And obviously, hopefully, a lot of you recognise why that's going to be 1, that's going to be 1. Because that's just a nice value to put. There's got to be the same value because it's isosceles. Right, sin 45 is so. So it'd be sin 45 equals, then opposite divided by hypotenuse. So the opposite here is going to be 1. The hypotenuse we have to work out. Again, just use simple Pythagoras. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 1 squared plus 1 squared is 2, and you want to square root it, so it becomes root 2. So therefore the hypotenuse in this case is going to be root 2. So it'd be 1 over root 2. Again, as you know, that can be multiplied by root 2 to become root 2 over 2. Either one of them are going to be right. That there, the unrationalized one, you can get from the triangle. Okay, cos 45, as you know, it's going to be k adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent in this case is 1. So it's 1 over, and then hypotenuse is root 2. So it's actually going to be the same as sin 45. Okay? Same as sin 45. Both of them 1 over root 2. And then for that same reason, root 2 over 2. Right. Tan 45. TOA. Tan 45 equals opposite over adjacent. So the opposite here is going to be 1. The adjacent here is going to be 1. So therefore 1 divided by 1 is 1. So what we have done is we have worked out by using the two triangles that I've chosen here on purpose. You've worked out what the actual value of sin 30 was. Now I just want to be clear, because a few of you might be looking at this video being like, what's this man talking about? Sin 30 bracket, I don't know if you can see it in the calculator, equals a half. That's exactly that. Okay, cos 30 equals root 3 over 2. Okay, all we're doing is in a non-calculator paper, you'll still be asked what some of these values are. Now, you won't be asked what sin 52 is. They'll only ask you sin 0, which I'll talk about in the next video, sin 30, sin 45, sin 60, or sin 90, which I'll talk about in the next video. That's it in regards to not using a calculator. Okay, so we've got all of the 30s and 60s, and we've got the 45s as well. If you're struggling to understand why I chose these triangles, because it's imperative that we choose these triangles correctly, just like I have here, split it into this, so I could use it, and then use an isosceles triangle here with 45 to use that. If you're struggling with that idea, you need to let me know, so I can help you with it, okay? If not, practice this yourself now. Draw out the triangles. Don't even look at my triangles. Just in your mind, go, what triangles, what are the measurements I need again, right? And then just try and get all the values we need, okay?